October 2nd Parking and Traffic Safety meeting to order. Attendance.
Mary Lou McKelman.
Here.
Jane Mitchell-Pate.
Here.
And Mark Syracuse is online.
Here.
Erica Wygonick.
Here.
Deputy Police Chief Mike Maloney.
Here.
Fire Chief Bill McQuillan.
Here.
Public Works Director Peter Rice.
Here.
Stephanie Casella, Planning Department.
Here.
And Chairman Bagley has an excused absence.
Okay, can we have the financial report? Oh, yeah, sorry, I thought I was out of order.
Move to accept.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? We gotta do a roll call vote, so.
Mary Lou McKellan.
Yes.
Jane Mitchell-Pate.
Yes.
And are we including Mark?
Yeah.
Mark Syracuse.
Yes.
Erica Wygonick.
Yes.
Deputy Police Chief Mike Maloney.
Yes.
Fire Chief Bill McQuillan.
Yes.
Public Works Director Peter Rice.
Yes.
Stephanie Casella, Planning.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna move on to public comment. We're gonna keep public comment to 3 minutes per person. If you wanna make public comment, come up to the table, sit down, state your name and your address, and then let us know what you wanna talk about. This is the only time for the public to address the board. So whether it's on our agenda or not on our agenda, this is your chance to talk.
Good morning. Tyler Garzo, 62 McKinley. Reviewing the packet, the 85th percentile speed on Lang Road is 38 miles an hour, well above the posted 30 miles an hour. There are vehicles going in excess of 60 miles an hour, and it only takes one crash to kill someone. Federal guidance on signage is not binding. It allows engineering judgment. State law sets default limits but permits local deviation. There's no strong evidence that the 85th percentile yields the lowest crash rate. That's straight from the NTSB. So what to do? Enforcement doesn't work long term. It's a crutch to keep focus off of engineering. Let's stop with trying to change everything into a capital improvement plan that gets watered down with compromises like Bartlett, Woodbury, or Elwyn Park. The posted speed limit is not the standard. The safety of our community is, and city policy requests accommodation of all modes. I'd suggest the committee request a memo from Chief McQuillan. The fire code does not prohibit speed tables. The chief is central to this matter, and most fire departments respond to far more medical emergencies and vehicle crash scenes than fires. July Fire Commission data supports this statement. Understanding which vehicles are dispatched and whether some could be replaced with units better suited to speed tables and tight corners could help us address speeding, street safety, and spending in a broader citywide manner. Thank you.
Good morning, committee members. Justin Richardson, 586 Woodbury Avenue. I'm here to ask that the committee or the city staff get some type of update on what's happening with Woodbury Avenue. We had a fairly robust process and a fairly wide consensus that something needed to be done. The project died at the last minute due to some concerns that were raised. And I remember hearing a comment at one meeting, I don't think it was reflected the views of the committee, that it was just a quality of life issue for Newbury residents. I've been in an accident since that time. My vehicle was hit. I ended up, due to unrelated issues to that, having to go to the hospital because the replacement vehicle I had caused some back problems. But I feel like the problem is getting worse and worse as vehicles get faster, as other modes of transportation around the city, especially with the bridge that's been closed, forces more traffic. People are trying to go faster, and it's terrifying. I mean, I'm wondering when the next accident will be coming out of my own driveway. It's much more than a quality of life issue. It's a public safety issue, and I think we need to see something get done. I know there are advantages and disadvantages to every approach, but we need something, and something that we can do. It's a shame to go through such a long process and not have something come out of it. I'll stay as long as I can for an update. I do have a couple of calls coming in today, so I may have to jump out, but thank you for this, and thank you for the work that you folks do. It's really appreciated.
Good morning, Matt Flint, Harrison Avenue. I'm just here to watch the Bike Ped Network plan update and hopefully to hear what kind of leadership and action can come out of this committee to see progress. Thanks.
Anyone online? Close the public comment. Right. Jillian, let's hear our presentation.
Thank you. Eric and I will give you an update on the bicycle and pedestrian plan that was recently accepted by council in August. We both served as project managers, so I'll just start with a little bit of background, and then Eric will take us through the infrastructure recommendations when we get to that part. Yeah, it should be on the behind. So, yeah. So just starting with some background on the Bike Ped plan, it's supported in the master plan and also the Safe Routes to School Action Plan from 2010, and also the recommendations that came out of the Blue Ribbon Committee on Transportation Policy. The original plan was finalized 10 years ago in 2014, and the city has made great progress implementing it over the last 10 years. But as the current state of practice has evolved, it became apparent that a comprehensive update to the plan was due in order to determine the status of implementation and necessary updates for future improvements. Plan development took place over about the course of a year, starting in the spring of 2024. Planning and Public Works staff guided the plan development along with our consultants from Kittleson and Associates. And we also had the Bike Ped Plan Working Group overseeing plan development. There were representatives from Planning Board, Sustainability Committee, SABRE, schools, the state legislature, Coast, PTS, Erica was on there, local bike businesses, Rockingham Planning Commission, and staff from Public Works, Parking, Transportation, and Planning. And for the engagement process, we had 2 phases of outreach to engage the public through a combination of an online survey, 2 public meetings, several pop-up events, and focus groups. Plan contents, we took the original plan and basically updated what was in there, including the vision and goals. We did that through the public outreach process. We have a summary of the public outreach for the plan. Existing conditions includes a review of existing walking and biking programs and policies, field visits, an inventory of the existing infrastructure, and an analysis of where things stand today. The plan includes a facilities toolkit, which outlines design treatments and other strategies that can be considered for different locations. Recommendations are included for both non-infrastructure and infrastructure. And then it outlines an implementation framework that has resources to help the decision-making process and to measure implementation along the way. For the vision and goals, we took the main goals out of the original plan and based on community input, updated those. So you'll see that underlined text in these goals, it was based on community input, and then the working group wanted to add goal 5, which is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and household transportation costs through the implementation of walking and biking improvements and support complementary city priorities such as the climate action plans, climate targets, and supporting affordable housing. This is just an example of one of the corridor improvements that's included in the facilities toolkit. There are about a dozen, including corridor and spot improvements, and you'll see each of them has the treatment. This one in particular is a shared use path, and then if we have a local image of where that's being used, that's included. If it's not being used locally, then we'll have an image of what it would look like or could look like, the description and purpose of the treatment, any benefits and constraints of using that treatment, typical applications, and then design considerations for that treatment. These are just some additional examples of spot improvements that are included in the facilities toolkit. One includes intersection tightening, and then bike parking is just a spot improvement that can be considered for different areas. And then the 2014 plan had a pretty comprehensive list of non-infrastructure recommendations, and many of those are still relevant today. So you'll see that a lot of them are still included as they're ongoing for education, encouragement, evaluation, enforcement, or engineering. And then we've provided updates from all the input that we received from public and from the working group. And there are new recommendations. Those are underlined here. These are just general bullet points. We do have over 50 non-infrastructure recommendations that are outlined in the plan, but these just give you an idea of what's included. And then for infrastructure recommendations, Eric can take you through that. It's formatted in a way that outlines the connections across the city. So you'll see that there are different sheets for northwest to south to downtown connections, southeast to downtown connections, connections to P's, and so on and so forth.
And those about 6 or 7 different areas of the city were broken up into these areas, and then a summary sheet was provided, such as this. This is one for southwest to downtown, and it has a map of all the recommended projects on the map with a number key over here to the side, and these are recommended. And there is one in bold on each list, and that is what came forward from the community as being their top desired project. In this area from southwest to downtown, it was to continue the design of the North Mill Pond Trail and the New Hampshire Seacoast Greenway to connect the link up from the rail trail into the downtown and eventually cross the bridge into Kittery. So there are many other projects on the list as well. Enhanced pedestrian crossings across Route 1 bypass at Borthwick. And that's something that is being worked on as part of the bypass signal intersection improvement project. The next area was southeast to downtown. These are the projects shown on the map here. The top priority from the community was to upgrade the existing bike boulevard to bike lanes on Middle Street between Highland Street and Congress Street. So that would be to take the existing bike lanes on Middle Street and continue them on up into Congress Street, where it's just bikes are mixed with traffic now. The desire would be to extend those bike lanes, make a separate facility for bikes. And this next section was northwest to downtown. And out of these projects, the top priority of the community was to add a shared use path along Woodbury Avenue between Portsmouth, Newington line, and Market Street. And this is the the big commercial area up here. There are sidewalks there today, but it would be very desirable to have a shared use path to get bicycles off of that busy street onto a 10-foot wide multi-use path for pedestrians, especially with the residential development that's happening up in this area. That would be a big improvement to the area. North-south connections, the top priority that came up from the community was to add a shared use path on Lafayette Road between Elwyn Road and Greenleaf Ave. And that's going between, Pepperell Hill and Elwyn here and up to Greenleaf. It's this section that goes over the brook, over the marsh. It's just a shoulder on, a 4 or 5 lane highway section here. So it'd be nice to have something a little more separated from the roadway in this area for pedestrians and bikes. The east-west connections in the city, the top priority project that came up was to add a shared use path connection on Banfield Road between the New Hampshire Seacoast Greenway and Campus Drive off-road connectors, and add a trailhead connection to the rail trail. So that would be down this area on Banfield and Constitution, because we have a community campus, and it'd be nice to be able to have connections out to the rail trail from that area along Banfield Road. There's very limited shoulders on Banfield Road now, and there has be also a trailhead to be constructed for the rail trail in this area. The connections to Pease, these are coming from 2 different areas of the city, but the top priority that came up from the community during this plan was to complete the sidewalk on Edmond Avenue, which is this area here between Maplewood Ave and Woodbury Ave, and convert it into a neighborhood slow street, removing the center line, designating it as Bike Boulevard, low-stress connection to the Ashland Roadside Path, which is the bike path that goes over the turnpike here. So that would give you a connection from Maplewood Ave all the way down to the rail trail into Pease. And those priorities that came up, took into account these different factors here: safety, connectivity, equity, public realm enhancement, feasibility, time frame, and life cycle costs. So that there is priorities to the projects. And this is the last slide. So we got to this point by the bike ped plan covered these first 2 topics, needs assessment and network planning. So all these projects that are listed now in the bike ped plan, in order to implement them, you'd have to go through these next steps, which is engineering for each project, the design, programming, and construction. So the plan is a great start, lists all the priorities of the public, and so as we can, we get to each project and we pick through them, and the next steps would be to pick up the project engineering. So, yeah, or we'd be glad to take any questions.
Yeah. Take any questions?
Anyone on the committee have questions for
I
presenters?
just want to compliment this program. It's really amazing, comprehensive work that's been done by this committee. And it really involved all the residents. Everyone had an opportunity to feed in. So we thank you.
So one comment on the process from here.
Yeah.
An element sheet for the bike ped master plan implementation has been generated.
Has been.
And we'll list all the priority projects from this report, and then input and request monies to move forward that. Obviously, it's a policy decision by council to determine how much they were willing to spend. There's a lot of competing priorities, and typically what we try to do from a department standpoint is we try to leverage other projects and be opportunistic when we see another project, whether it's a utility project or a road project, to try to implement some of these improvements as well.
When things come before us, can we include whether or not they're on that list, or there's anything nearby on that list? Does that make sense? Like if somebody came in and asked.
We can try to remember to do that.
Someone comes and
Sometimes it
asks
comes
for
at us
an RFP somewhere.
Yep.
And that's on the priority list, it would be good to know that.
Sure.
Or, right next door to something that's a priority list project.
Yep.
I don't know. That was a hypothetical example, obviously.
Yeah.
So funding will be a big issue, obviously,
Yes.
as we go forward.
Yep.
And that's primarily city funded, or are there other resources?
Well, for example, there's a recommendation to get connectors from Maple Haven, which is on the southern end of the city. Not the south end, but the real southern end of the city. And there are 2 access ways to the rail trail right now that are really just dirt paths that people use. So we recently were notified from the East Coast Greenway folks that there's some monies available that they'd be willing to put towards that. So we took site walk, 2 days ago, to try to figure out, how best to navigate that and make it, try to move it forward quicker. Because we understand those neighborhoods are really needing safe access to the rail trail. So we're trying to, whatever monies we can find, and if there's volunteer work, that's something that, we'll look for that as well. So we are looking for other sources of monies.
Resources, yeah.
Oftentimes, if development comes into an area, we incorporate those improvements. The To Russell is a great example of that, where they're building a section of shared path through their project. In addition, folks down near Rains Ave are implementing sections of trails along that way. So we are trying to leverage the funds whenever possible.
Good answer.
Mark, do you have any comments? I don't want to ignore you.
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have any comments?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you guys for presenting
Thank
that.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Good to learn about. I'm going to move on to new business. Port Walk Place request to renew annual valet parking license agreement for Port Walk HI LLC by business owner. Sample motion move to approve renewal of annual valet license agreement for Port Walk HI LLC.
So moved if we have a chance to
I'll second.
comment on this.
I comment.
I'll second.
Well, this is not a change from in the past, and I'm assuming that we haven't had any issues with valet parking, but my question is, where is the valet parking? Because I see in our free lots, a lot of vehicles that are out of town, out of city, out of state. And I'm wondering where they're going, where is the valet
I
parking
can
going?
let Director Fletcher speak to that. Where the valet parkers parking?
My
Why don't you come on up?
Sure. My understanding is that they're using the commercial garage at Port Walk.
Oh.
That's my understanding.
Well,
If
We're not seeing valet runners going to our public lots.
that's what I'm wondering.
They're restricted to do that, and if Ben's crew saw that happening, it would be stopped immediately.
Because we don't really monitor the free lot on Parrot Avenue, and we don't monitor, you have somebody going down there?
yes.
Okay.
There's a 72-hour limit on that lot.
I know that,
We
yeah.
go through every day. So, as part of the loop that runs through the library lot as well.
Okay, good. I wasn't aware of that. That's good to know.
And valet operators are pretty apparent. They're always running.
They're pretty obvious.
Yeah, they are obvious. I mean, it's not, they're not able to sneak in parking here and there.
Correct.
Any
Okay,
other
thanks for that answer.
comments or questions? Can we do a roll call
We
vote?
can. Mary Lou McKellen,
Yes.
Jane Mitchell Pate,
Yes.
Mark Siracusa,
Yes.
Erica Wygonick,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Maloney,
Yes.
Chief McQuillan,
Yes.
Director Rice,
Yes.
Stephanie Casella.
Yes. 6B, Port Walk Place, request to renew annual valet parking license agreement for Parade Residence Hotel LLC by business owner. Sample motion move to approve renewal of annual valet license agreement for Parade Residence Hotel LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments on this one?
Same as the previous one, no issues, right?
All right, can we take a roll call vote?
Mary Lou McKellen,
Yes.
Jane Mitchell Pate,
Yes.
Mark Siracusa,
Yes.
Erica Wygonick,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Maloney,
Yes.
Chief McQuillan,
Yes.
Director Rice,
Yes.
Stephanie Casella.
Yes. Motion carries. Sorry, supposed to say that. Item 6C, Congress Street request for handicap parking spaces between High Street and Middle Street and additional handicap space in Bridge Street lot by handicap person. Sample motion, move to refer to staff for evaluation and report back at future meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments on this?
I can speak to this if you like.
Sure.
This is a letter that came in to me and didn't have a name to it, it just said it was from a legally handicapped person requesting more handicap spaces in the downtown.
Okay.
So, there is federal requirements that are in flux right now, haven't been approved by the transportation department yet, but when they do, that's when we think it would be best appropriate to look at on-street parking, determine where a handicap should be at that time.
Can we do an inventory before then, or do we already have that
We do have
inventory?
an inventory now,
Okay.
yeah. There are a couple of spaces, the angle spacing, near the works,
Yeah,
there's handicap parking in that area.
right.
The rest of Congress Street, there isn't a lot of parking to begin with, and there is some in the Bridge Street lot at the other end.
Was the request specific to those locations or just
It was-
general to the downtown?
Somewhere between Popovers and the Discovery Center, that area.
Roll call vote?
Sure. Mary Lou McKellen,
Yes.
Jean Mitchell Pate,
Yes.
Mark Siracusa,
Yes.
Erica Wagonic,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Maloney,
Yes.
Chief McQuillan,
Yes.
Director Rice,
Yes.
Stephanie Casella.
Yes.
Motion carries. New business D, 48 Langdon Street, request for permission to construct new driveway less than 50 feet from McDonough Street intersection as shown on site layout plan C03 revised 9925 by TF Moran. Sample motion, move to approve construction of new driveway for property at 48 Langdon Street as shown on site plan C03 revised 9925 by TF Moran.
I have questions on that.
So move to discuss?
Second.
Sure. I mean, we have to have a motion.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so you make the
You can
motion.
That doesn't mean you have to vote for it
Okay.
necessarily,
Yeah.
but we need a.
And I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Yes, so on Langdon.
Technically, Jane gets to speak first, I learned when I read about it, if she'd like to. Okay, great. Seemed like she is.
Could Eric, could you give us kind of description of what's changing and what they're proposing to do? I mean,
I just had
Just-
Okay.
what exactly are they need to do and why is this?
Yeah, so it's currently, it's one lot. This is at the corner of Langdon and McDonough. This is all one lot today. And they came before the Technical Advisory Committee seeking to divide this into two lots so they can build residential homes on each lot. Right now, there's one home in the middle that would become torn down and these two would be built to replace it. So instead of having the one driveway to the one lot today, they would have two driveways to two lots. And, this is one driveway here, and then this is the other driveway here. This driveway, there's no issue with it, it's more than 50 feet from the intersection with McDonough Street. However, this proposed driveway is less than 50 feet from the intersection. And according to our driveway permit regulations, driveway that's less than 50 feet from an intersection needs to have Parking and Traffic Safety Committee approval. And the reason for that is typically when you have driveways too close to an intersection, you have a lot of turning movements or a lot of activity happening at an intersection. It can be dangerous to come in and out of a driveway that close to an intersection. In this case, Langdon Street is one-way street, relatively low traffic. McDonough Street is two-way, but it's also low traffic. They are keeping the intersection clear here. They're proposing to remove any fences or vegetation, so you will have good visibility around this corner. So for any vehicles coming in and out of the driveway, they should be able to see, traffic coming around the corner without an issue. There is a stop sign here too. So in this case, I don't see particularly hardship here. It should be a safe operations for a driveway this close to the intersection. You don't have two-way traffic. It's just one-way traffic on two low-volume streets.
Eric, is it posted, would it be posted no parking from here to corner? It says it's 30 feet.
Yes, I believe it's no parking already on one side of Langdon Street. It's, I think there's just the parking on one side today.
Okay.
So that wouldn't change.
Mary Lou, did you have comments?
Yes, so a new driveway would eliminate one parking space from the street.
Well, I don't believe there's no parking on that side of the street today. So you're not losing any on-street parking.
So it's parking on one side of the street only.
Parking is only on this other side of Langdon Street.
So not what I saw the other day when I drove by.
You may be right, I,
There's parking on that side, that's why I was questioning that.
okay.
Can you pull up the
Let's see.
Google Maps or?
This is Big Brother watching us.
That's one way from McDonough to Islington, correct?
Yes.
Traffic flow
That's
towards
right.
Islington.
Yeah, it's the other side of this. It's that street.
This is a lot question here. Yeah,
Right.
so the parking, you're right, the parking is on that side of the street.
Yeah.
The existing
So that's
drive,
sorry.
I'm sorry, the existing driveway's on McDonough?
The existing driveway is on Langdon Street, or Street View.
And it's a multi-use. Is it an apartment right now? The existing building.
I don't know how many are in there now, this is the existing driveway here.
It's a two-family, I believe.
There's one driveway there and then there's one between. Where that garage is.
Is that the same property?
Yes.
Stephanie, did you have a comment? I thought I saw
Yeah,
your hand
I
up.
was just gonna say, in my mind, there are two existing curb cuts, and this would be improving the conditions as it's pulling the driveway currently closest to McDonough farther away from the intersection. And just anecdotally, having driven through that area, sometimes it can be a little hairy when cars are pulling out and cars are pulling onto Lincoln towards Islington. So to me, this is an improvement of the conditions.
This fence would be coming down lower so you could see around the corner as well. And the driveway would be pulled up, about to this area here.
Say that again, that driveway will be discontinued?
This driveway will be closed.
Okay,
A new driveway would come in about at this location here.
So to confirm, the proposal is actually moving an existing driveway further from the intersection,
Correct.
which is safer.
Yes,
so there is parking on that side of the street.
correct. So where a new driveway would come in about here, then there would be no parking between the driveway and the corner.
So essentially, we're not eliminating a parking space because we're eliminating a driveway. We're just changing a driveway on that end.
I think we would still eliminate.
You might,
We're gonna eliminate.
but it's hard to say because you made the demand may be a little less because it's a two-family unit right now and maybe it might be a rental setup, so you may have less cars as a result of two single-family or
The
more. depending
Driveways
whether
are
they have
quite a
young
bit
kids.
wider now, though.
Yeah, they're 24-foot
Yeah.
driveways, so you can get two vehicles in that.
Are there any comments from the neighbors?
We haven't received any.
Because that's a tight parking area and I'm wondering what people have to say. They usually have something to say.
Could we do a site visit for this? I don't know what folks think about that. I feel like last time we had a driveway too close, we did a site visit, and that was pretty helpful. I don't know.
That'd be good, and you could give time to notify neighbors, make sure neighbors are aware of it, so.
So there's a motion.
There's a motion, yeah, this is my next question. I read Robert's rules and it doesn't help me.
So that's
So we have a motion, is this
So
a
the
friendly amendment?
mover and
So I think we vote, no, the mover and the seconder.
you can either retract the
Can I
motion.
retract my motion?
You can if I say yes as well, and then or modify it to say that you'd like to have a site visit beforehand, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we don't wanna vote on that motion because we would have to vote yay or nay, and I don't know that we wanna do that until,
Correct.
so I
I will
retract my motion.
I accept that. I'm willing to accept the retraction.
So would a motion to table until the site visit is completed be appropriate at this time?
That would be delightful.
I would make said motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Love it. Would anyone like to discuss that motion?
Let's do it.
We have a, oh, what,
I'm just thinking, when would you like to have the site visit?
before our next meeting?
The Tuesday before, like, would that work?
Mark?
That's
hi.
election day, I
You,
think.
add on to the motion, you're gonna invite the neighbors?
Always do.
Was that part of the motion?
That
No,
was-
it wasn't.
It wasn't officially part of the motion. I don't know if we do notify neighbors or if it's just part of,
It's a public meeting, right?
yeah, they're always welcome. I don't know if there's a way to notify them.
Would have-
Someone, a member, who brought up the concern? Was that you, Mary Lou, about the neighbors?
The parking.
Yes, I wondered if neighbors had commented on it because there's often discussion of parking in that whole section of town.
Yeah, I think they should be aware, the neighbors should be aware of what the city's thinking, what their neighbors trying to get achieved. I mean, it's just a thought, I don't know, make it part, we've made it part of the motions before, Middle Street and Cass. But if the group doesn't feel it's appropriate, necessary, then I guess, yeah.
I don't know if we have a mechanism to do that, Mark.
Is it going before the Board of Adjustment? Has it already gone, or is it,
It hasn't gone for Board of Adjustment.
the
I think
Board of
it-
Adjustment doesn't that notify abutters when it goes before the
I don't know
Board of
if it's-
Adjustment?
But that's
It
different.
does not need to
Does
go
not.
before the Board of Adjustment, but it has been before TAC, in which the abutting neighbors were notified.
So they have been notified, and that's by mail?
Yes.
Yeah, so they have been notified by mail previously.
Okay, so at this point, there's nothing, we don't have any documents from any neighbors, that's, okay. Yeah, so they know. And there's no emails or any communications between staff and the chair, about this, it's not part of our packet, the letter, so.
No, this is a request from the applicant with the,
Right, okay. So the neighbors, no, you just told me, they got notices, that's
We've
fine.
been notified.
Yeah.
As part of the process, not
Right.
about this
Okay.
specific question. Correct.
Yeah, I'm just listening to Mary Lou's comment, I just wanted to ask that question, so.
Thanks, Mark.
So I made an amendment, but a friendly amendment, but I'd retract that. Or it was just, or I just made discussion, that's all.
Does anyone else have comments or questions about the motion to do a site visit for this? Is everyone okay with the Tuesday before our next
That's
meeting?
election day. If our meeting is the 6th,
Okay,
election is
let's
the.
not do it then.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to schedule by email? Do we have to make a date now?
no, I just thought it might be easy
Yeah.
if everyone know.
Wednesday rather than Tuesday.
28th, is that October 28th? We can do it first, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so would you accept a friendly amendment that we will move to do a site visit on specifically October 28th at 8 o'clock in the morning?
That works for me.
Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna move to a roll call vote now unless anyone has any more comments. Once Jefferson's done writing all ours.
Mary Lou McKellen,
Yes.
Jane Mitchell Pate,
Yes.
Mark Siracusa,
Yes.
Erica Wygonick,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Maloney,
Yes.
Fire Chief McQuillan,
Yes.
Director Rice,
Yes?
Stephanie Casella.
Yes.
Motion carries. And then I guess we'll talk about it again next meeting. We need to move to talk about it again next meeting, or
It'll be put on the
it's part of
agenda.
that motion that you made, because you said to, okay, great. All right, old business, Lang Road, report back on vehicle speed monitoring study, traffic calming request.
Okay, so this next item, we have, we went out and put out our stealth traffic recorder on Lang Road. at this location down here shown on the map. It was also the same time while police had their speed trailer out up here by the brook, facing traffic coming from Route 1. Our unit collects traffic in both directions, speeds in both directions. So one of them is coming from the speed sign, the other coming from Rye. And what we found on that, we left it out there for about a week, and we got average speeds about 35 miles an hour, 34 in one direction, 36 in the other direction. 85th percentile speeds were 37 and 39 miles per hour. You can a little higher coming from Rye. And about 5,000 cars a day on Lang Road. Also looked at accident data, and there's been 16 accidents in the last 5 years, about 3 accidents per year. The last accident was in April of this year. That was a fatal accident on Lang Road, but that's been the only accident there this year on Lang Road. Looking at the accident rates, actually the accident rate out there is lower than the national average for roadways of this type. And the looking at roadway characteristics, we also noticed when you go into the Rye, or when you cross the town line, the speed limit increases to 35, and it's only 30 on the Portsmouth side. So there's a Federal Highway Administration puts out this tool called US Limits 2, and it's a guideline for communities to determine the appropriate speed limits on roadways. And you enter in factors such as the type of roadway, rural, residential, how many driveways, how many, what's the alignment of the roadway, the width of the roadway, the volumes, the speeds, speed limit, statutory speed limit, and it tells you what the recommended speed limit should be on this roadway. And surprisingly, when you put in the stats for this road, it says the recommended speed limit should be 40 miles an hour. So it's something to consider in the context of this roadway, that 30 miles an hour is not what people are feeling safe and comfortable at. They are feeling safe and comfortable driving 35 to 40, and that's what you would see the speed limit should be on a roadway like this. So it's just another factor to take into consideration when we're looking at a roadway. It's desirable for people who live on the roadway to have traffic going slow, but is it not dangerous in its present condition? The data does not suggest that. So it's a very difficult road to do traffic calming devices on, a high volume of traffic, emergency vehicles using it. Speed bumps are not really appropriate. It's a very narrow roadway, so we don't have much room to do bike lanes or widen the shoulders out there. It goes through a lot of wetland area. There is the hill at the end near Eastwood Drive where it limits sight lines. And a lot of times what the best approach on a roadway like this is to post the speed limit on the majority of the roadway at the appropriate limits. And then when you get to a feature where you need to reduce speeds, you put up a warning sign and why you recommend lower speeds. Drivers have more respect for roadway signs that actually conforms to what they're seeing in the field. So if you had a higher speed limit along a regular stretch, and then you come to a hill where it's blind, you put up a sign that says limited sight lines, hill blocks view, recommended speed 30 in this section. And rather than having 30 the whole length, where people say, well, why am I driving 30 miles an hour on this road where I can easily do 40 miles an hour? You get more respect and more compliance that way. So we've looked at different traffic calming measures. It's really to make it safer for pedestrians and bicyclists because of the limited shoulder width. You really need to add some width to the roadway for a multi-use path. And that's what is in the bike ped plan too, is to make this more of a bike ped boulevard area. But that means widening the road, which means considerable expenditure of funding and design effort. So there is no simple quick fix. We looked at possibly flex posts along the center line, but when you have flex posts on the center line, that means it's very difficult when you come upon a pedestrian or a bicyclist to move over. You can't move over if there's a flex post in your way. Also, if emergency vehicles need to get by, if a vehicle pulls over, the emergency vehicle needs to go down the middle, and if there's flex posts, then they're going to be running those over. So it's a very challenging situation to be able to adjust the speeds on Lang Road. And there are thresholds for traffic calming. Certainly percentages of traffic going over the posted speed limit. Somebody going over the 85th percentile speed limit. And even at the speed limit posted at 30, we're right on that threshold of needing traffic calming. But when you look at what the realistic speed limit should be on the roadway and what the accident rate is being lower than normal, it really brings into question how much traffic calming is needed out here. It's probably more of an issue of pedestrian safety. One item I will point out is that a lot of the driveways out here have vegetation that's right up to the edge of the road. And it does make it difficult pulling out of these driveways to see the traffic coming, because the speed they're coming, your sight lines are very limited. I would recommend that, the sight lines at each driveway be checked and vegetation and branches be cleared out, so to give these people the ability to see from their driveways for the speed the traffic is coming at. I know I pulled out of one driveway and you couldn't see more than 50 feet, and you need at least 200, 250 feet to be able to see traffic coming at the speeds they're doing on this roadway. So that would be a way to improve the safety for the driveways. Other than that, I don't have any recommended short-term measures that we can do. We can keep the speed feedback signs out there, which do have the limited effect in keeping traffic down. Other than that, it's really enforcement occasionally. That's when I report back that what we found on the speeds and the volume.
Any questions or comments?
I have a question. Is it like at all concerning that there's like two different speed limits, like depending on the direction you're coming from?
Well, the speed limit changes at the town line. Okay. So once you cross the town line, then there's signs in each direction on each side of the roadway saying what the new speed limit is.
Any other?
So people are really not paying attention to the town line, they're just driving the speed they feel comfortable with.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily Rye versus Portsmouth. So your basic recommendation is that residents look at their own driveways, basically.
Yeah, make sure you can see coming out of your
Sidelines,
driveway. Make sure your sidelines are cleared
right,
so that you can see the traffic coming.
sounds basic. Any other recommendations from this study?
The speed limit signs out there are smaller and older, banged up, not reflective, so we can go out and replace those, bring those up to standards, wide, longer, bigger signs, make sure they're visible, not covered by tree branches or anything like that, so drivers are aware of the existing posted speed limit. Keep the signs up. You add another radar sign in the other direction coming from Rye. We have one coming from Route 1 right now.
So Eric, if the city decided to put a lower speed limit than 30, which is the standard, what would you need to do to be able to justify that lower speed limit?
You would look at the speeds that they're traveling at. You look at the context of the roadway, and how much pedestrian activity, how much bike activity, how much on-street parking is there, how many driveways, what's the volume like, and speeds and accidents, and say, okay, what are they driving the roadway at now? Is lower speed justified? From what we're seeing, a lower speed limit would not be justified. It would just compound the problem, people even farther out of compliance with the speed limit. A lot of times, if this was a state study and they found these results, they would go out and increase the speed limit. Because knowing that the speed
Bring them in.
knowing that the speed limit is not properly posted it's not a good situation.
Given the geometry and volume of traffic.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Eric, you said there were 16 crashes in the last 5 years. How many of those were severe injury
There was
or fatal?
3. There was 2 fatalities and 1 injury accident.
And you said the traffic volume is 5,000 vehicles a day. Do we have a count of bike ped out there?
No.
It's a terrible road to ride on. I've ridden that road, and it's, I don't ride that road because it's such a bad road. From a bicycle perspective.
Eric, you were talking about signage. Are you also recommending maybe putting in a sign near the hill for the sight line?
Yeah, I would go out there, take some more measurements along the hill and see what the sight lines are, and if they are below what the traveling speed is at purportedly, then post a sign that says hill blocks view, something like that, and have a warning sign also to lower the speed limit in that area to bring it down to what is appropriate for the sight lines that are available.
So Eric, staff will replace the existing speed signs to increase reflectivity.
Yep.
We'll look at the posting that hill. And there's no action necessary from our committee for that.
What would you think of painting the speed limit on the road?
we could do it, you could try it.
It's low cost.
Yeah.
I don't know, we don't have a ton of options,
No.
especially as they come in from 35 mile an hour or something.
I know.
Right.
On that side has shoulders too, and that side,
On
the
the
right
right,
side's
yeah.
wider, it's a wider roadway.
I'm sorry, remind me, is there anything we can do for pedestrian safety?
I don't know, we can try cutting back vegetation, maybe, you know, give them more of a shoulder to walk on. It's narrow out there, you don't have much pavement width at all, to be honest. Sharing pavement width. We can have our highway crews out there, make sure we're clearing off back the brush, there's nothing, you know, hanging over the street or anything like that, you know, clearing off the shoulder.
Which might make people drive faster.
Yeah, that's the trade-off.
True.
Does anyone have any other comments, or are we gonna move on now?
I just have my hands up just for a
Sorry,
question.
Mark, I can't see you, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember to ask.
I feel like I'm in a balcony looking down. The question was, Eric, what percentage of Portsmouth is Lang Road? And do you, as staff, do you reach out to Rye at all and tell them what we're thinking and planning and what we're doing? So they're on the same page? So I don't know what percentage of Rye is actually Lang Road. What's the percentage is Portsmouth?
Oh, it's,
Or do we just go ahead and do it and they just see what we did? How does that work?
Probably half the road.
yeah, the town line is right about here, just past Eastwood Drive, and it's probably, what, half?
Yeah,
A little more than
roughly
that, 2/3 is Portsmouth.
So they see what, so we do something, but then they just sit there, oh, Portsmouth just did this. But the Portsmouth doesn't reach out to Rye and say, it's not permission, just tell them what we're doing and why we're doing it. Because if we're doing safety, something for Lang Road would be nice if they did. But that's up to them.
Yeah, they did look at it, I was working with the Rye Police Chief a year or two ago. They were looking at the speed limit on their section. Here's the Lang Road, so this is Route 1 at this end, and there's Washington Road, so this is the Portsmouth section and the Rye section here. Because, you know, Rye was concerned with the mismatched speed limits. They were looking to change their speed limit, but they could not justify lowering their speed limit to 30 because they know that that's not appropriate for their end of the road either. So they've left theirs at 35.
Okay, so Portsmouth just does what Portsmouth's gonna do, and
Yeah, it's
Rye's
local.
just gonna do what they do or don't do is up to them. So.
Yeah, it's the same which in Elwyn Road has the same situation. You know, if
Right.
you're up, it's what 25 in Portsmouth, then you get to the Rhine line, it becomes 30.
Yeah, that's like 90% Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a question.
Thanks, Mark. I think it's a good point, potential to collaborate, but it sounds like you have touched base with them and
Thank
they're
you.
all in the same rock and hard place. The monthly crash report.
Certainly. So I'm happy to report in August, for total number of crashes, we had 72, which is the lowest in the last 7 years. So it's an anomaly low number there, so we're happy to see that. 41 of those were reportable crashes. We had one crash involving a vehicle and a pedestrian, and no crashes involving bicyclists and motor vehicles.
Do you have any details about the pedestrian vehicle accident?
Yep, it occurred in a crosswalk on Marcy Street in front of the flagpole near Strawberry Bank. And the subject was struck in the crosswalk by somebody who failed to yield to the pedestrian. So, we're appropriately summoned.
Daytime, nighttime,
Evening.
evening?
Do you have any comments on the electric vehicle?
No, I was simply just going to thank, unless there were any other questions, I was going to thank Mary Lou and Mark for coming to their e-bike informational session last week at the library. I think it was pretty well received. I think there was probably 20 to maybe 25, to be a little generous, folks there, including some younger kids. So I thought the presentation went well. It was a good kind of collaboration between the PD and the external stakeholders of bike groups that were there too. So we tried to get the word out. I think we've made it pretty clear what is allowed and what's not allowed, and if it's not allowed, where you can ride it, how you can register it. So I think it was a pretty good success. Yeah, I think it went well.
I think anecdotally, I haven't seen as much activity with those motorcycle type e-bikes. So it's, they seem to be more aware that it's not appropriate to go through parks and other areas.
Yeah, that's great, and the word spreads quickly when we start getting the word out and pulling people over who are riding the OCEVs. Word spreads pretty quick, so I think so far it's been effective. It's been a good project.
Your pamphlets are great too, passed out. And you were talking about getting into the schools? Trying to set up something within the schools?
I believe the SROs had asked if we could do that presentation in the health classes. So yeah, now that we've done it once, we actually have a good time hack on, that was our first time doing the presentation, so it took about 45 minutes and then 15 for Q&A at the end. So I think we're happy with kind of how it played out, in an hour. So now we kind of have it tailored to kind of bring it wherever we were asked to bring it and go wherever we can. So
yeah, it was good teamwork, I thought.
Yeah, thank you.
Crew.
Yeah, thank you.
I was going to ask about the pamphlet. Is that something that could also be distributed through the schools, or can we have access to it? I don't know if we can get an electronic version.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Some kids were tearing around community campus last weekend, and I pointed out.
Yeah, we have hundreds of them at the PD. I can grab
Oh, but I mean, an electronic copy.
We have that too.
I think if we could get that, or if it's linked online somewhere that we could point people to, I think that would be really helpful.
We can do that.
Maybe we could if we get a copy, we could put it in the minutes, Jefferson, and then just attach it to the minutes.
Yeah, great. I can do that.
New Hampshire DOT 10-year plan public input meeting has been rescheduled for October 22nd at the Greenland Central School at 5 p.m. I think that's a Wednesday.
I think you're right.
It is a Wednesday.
And there's a handful of other meetings in the area, I think the week before or after on a Wednesday, and then a couple during the day in Dover. It's a great way to participate, especially if you have opinions about, say, the traffic circle or Route 1.
Any projects?
Any projects. It's a good way to advocate if that's something that you were interested in, hypothetically speaking. Maplewood Avenue Bridge update. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Oh, so work continues, and we are looking to open it up to two-way traffic by the end of the month, at the beginning of November. So it will not be fully finished, but it should be enough so we can get both lanes of traffic back open each direction.
That's a confusing area with all that's going on.
Yeah, especially now with Russell Street and Deer Street. Which I could, item F there, to Russell Street update, that is that construction is going on where Russell Street is one way coming in from Market Street, and exiting traffic has to go up Deer and take a left onto Market Street. That could be challenging. That's gonna be another 2 months, I think, until then Russell Street will open back up. The work on Russell Street will shift, and they'll be able to open that back up to both lanes of traffic. But you can see how the intersection of Russell and Deer will be. You can see they've teed it off, and that's where the future roadway will be.
Right.
And it'll be a lot tighter intersection there.
Excuse me. Okay. That intersection of Deer and Market will be dangerous for lots of cars turning left when the trucks come in for salt and sand. So they usually, from experience, are pretty aggressive turning left into that lot.
Mhm.
So that'll be a concern.
Good news though is they're going very slow because they're at a stop sign,
Right.
turning left instead of a slipstream.
True.
So that's at least a positive thing.
I ran through the Russell Street area and found that the pedestrian detour signage, at the time at least, did not give enough advance warning, so you were at the end of the sidewalk when they told you couldn't go.
Uh-huh.
So I haven't been back through there, but it might be helpful to tell people before they turn up. I think I was coming from Market onto Russell
Mhm.
and then didn't have anywhere to go.
Oh, as a pedestrian.
Yeah, this vehicle signage is good.
Mhm.
Pedestrian signage, I noticed that the site has changed since then, so maybe they've caught up, but
Yeah.
Well, it should be checked daily because what happens oftentimes is contractors flop a sign down because they were moving something,
yeah.
forget to put it back up. And, so it's constant vigilance, going through on a daily basis, making sure things are set up properly.
I learned of a new sidewalk through a development, which was fun, but I don't think that's how the detour should be set up. Von Mall update.
Yeah, so that work continues on, and that should be wrapping up within 2 months. And get Vaughn Mall back open for the wintertime.
So and
That's part of
the final restoration has not been determined. We do not currently have funding, nor do we have a final consensus on what the restoration will be. So what'll happen is we'll literally pave the area and probably be in that position until we have funds to do a full restoration and consensus on what that restoration is. Obviously, we'll try to make it look nice in the meantime. We may, do some sort of treatment such as colored, seal coating or something like that. But it's the restoration is not part of this project.
I have a question. How about the trees in Vaughn Mall?
The trees that are there are intended to stay right now.
Okay, so
All
two
the
are,
ones that have been removed are what was removed.
okay, will those get replaced or?
No.
Okay,
Because if you go building to building, there is utilities full across both sides. So putting trees on top of them, there's no place to put it.
I'm glad there are trees left.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have trees within the mall.
Mark, how's it going back there? Any questions or comments about any of the ones we've gone through?
The guy in the balcony doesn't have any questions on that, no.
Awesome.
It's like going to a hockey game. I'm looking down at the Whittemore Center in the Skywest. And you guys are playing, I'm kind of participating a little bit.
Reminds me of the
Coming
Muppet
off the
Show.
bench, coming in the game.
Nice to be in the VIP seating, huh?
Yeah, I got the ceiling view.
Middle Miller Summer.
Yes, that intersection improvement project is ongoing. I believe the sidewalks now are underway. And, signal equipment will be delivered sometime soon, and hope to have it all installed by the end of the year. It's a lot of lead time on signal equipment, getting it all wired up. So, but that is ongoing.
Long time coming.
Yes.
I see a lot of kids using that intersection to get to school, so it'll be good when it has pedestrian infrastructure again.
Right.
Miscellaneous. Mary Lou.
An alternate? Do we have an alternate set up? I
One
mean,
was selected, yes.
It was selected. I read through the council minutes. That vote has been put on pause until next council meeting. I think it was just a time constraint.
okay. Thank you.
Any other miscellaneous items?
I just got, Erica, when's the day and time of the land and site visit?
I think we said October 28th at 8 a.m.
Okay.
We didn't establish a meeting location, but I assume we'd meet at 40 Langdon Street,
Okay.
which is the intersection of Langdon and McDonough.
I got a question on handicap parking. Has the city ever considered universal parking for handicaps like the veteran parking with a 3-hour limit? Just removing the signs for handicap and then just having.
Oh, you can't do that.
Okay, there's a state law or
There's national rules about how often
national?
you have to have a certain number of accessible spaces, depending on the number of spaces you have. I'll let Eric talk about this.
Yeah, on-street or off-street, there's different requirements. And the on-street is now, one space for every 25 should be handicapped, but it has not been adopted, so it's not enforceable yet, but it is recommended practice.
The challenge with that is that they have to be configured to be accessible,
Yes.
meaning the pitch and the space on either side. So you have to rework, and oftentimes you end up losing another parking space to accommodate that.
There must be a handicap ramp accessible to every handicapped on-street space. That's the new rules. So you're looking at, unless you're cutting into a sidewalk or a ramp, you really have to put them at the end of a block where your existing ramps are for your sidewalks.
And currently, if you have a handicap tag on your vehicle, you get 3 hours free, no matter where you park. So similar to the veterans.
Okay, I think that was my next question. So if someone with a handicap placard or a plate parks in a paid on street, they're not paying, they get 3 hours. Because there wasn't a handicap spot available and they needed to park. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Any other miscellaneous questions, comments, or concerns? Would anyone like to move to adjourn?
So moved.
Mark, was that a second?
Yes.
That was a
you
whisper of
heard
a
that.
second.
Oh, you need a roll call vote for that one.
Do we have to roll call vote?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us for
Thank
this.
you.
Good job.